If you build it, they will come. It's a famous movie line fitting in this here town of Love Valley, a tiny town seemingly straight from the script of an old Western, but a town now facing an old-fashioned showdown with state regulators.
Love Valley, down where all can go and have some fun.
Tucked in the foothills of the Brushy Mountains, about an hour and a half north of Charlotte, an unexpected window to the past.
If you want to know what a cowboy town is, or if you want to know what it was like back in the Old West, that's where you come.
An old West town with hitching rails instead of curbs, hooves instead of hubcaps.
It's a little slice of heaven. You want everybody to enjoy it, but you kind of want to hoard it to yourself.
At last census, 104 residents.
The truth of the matter is we're a working town. We're not necessarily a tourist attraction.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of ranges.
Meet Tori Barker, a longtime resident who knows this town's tale as well as anyone.
There's a town in North Carolina called Love Valley, and the man who built this town is very smart.
I am the youngest granddaughter of Andy and Eleonora Barker, who founded the town of Love Valley.
Andy Barker grew up during the golden age of Hollywood, a time when young boys often dreamed of a life in the Wild West.
The fourth grade, the teacher asked him, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he said he wanted to be a cowboy and live in a cowboy town. And the teacher said, well, how are you going to do that? Because there's no cowboy towns around here. And he said, well, I'm going to build my own town.
In 1954, at just 29 years old, Andy did just that and hand-built his Wild West town on some land just north of Statesville and named it Love Valley.
Love Valley, Love Valley.
For decades, Andy corralled people from all walks of life to experience the Wild West in Love Valley. He rode horses with President Lyndon Johnson during a visit. A 1970s Love Valley Rock Festival attracted more than 100,000 visitors. And by the 1980s, Love Valley had become all that Andy had dreamed it could be. But as Andy Barker seemed to make time stand still in Love Valley, time would eventually begin to catch up with him.
My grandfather had a major heart attack. When I went to see him in the hospital, he looked at me and he said, now, this is the time I need you to come.
She did as her grandfather wished, packed up and moved from Raleigh to Love Valley in the fall of 2005, where she worked side by side with him until he passed away in the summer of 2011.
I knew that I would end up here if he wanted me here.
Townspeople rallied around their newest resident and elected Tori to the town council.
Oh, about 5 years.
Where she joined newly seated Mayor Anthony Kennedy.
It was a confusing time because Andy was the backbone of the town.
Love Valley, Love Valley.
Under the leadership of Mayor Kennedy and with Tori's dedication, Andy's dream lived on and Love Valley thrived. Little did they know, a different kind of trouble was just around the bend. In early 2015, Tori and the town council discovered a small leak in the town's antiquated sewer system was causing a big problem.
We need a new town sewer system. It's just that simple.
Raw sewage was seeping from this 50-year-old terracotta pipe into a pond that feeds into the South Yadkin River, the main source of drinking water for Iredell County.
Any wastewater discharge is not good from both an environmental health and public health perspective.
Tori and Mayor Kennedy notified county and state regulators, and scientists from the Department of Environmental Quality quickly collected water samples, where they found high levels of fecal coliform bacteria in the pond and downstream in the county's drinking water supply.
All it takes is one pathogenic organism to make someone potentially sick.
Citing the public health hazard posed by Love Valley's leaking sewer system, in the fall of 2015, the Department of Environmental Quality issued a notice of violation for the unpermitted discharge of wastewater. And state engineers determined Love Valley needed an entirely new sewer system at an estimated cost to the town of $1 million, leaving the tiny town with a tiny annual budget of just $65,000 at a loss of how to raise that much money. Tori, Mayor Kennedy, and the town council immediately hired a lawyer and responded to the state saying, The town of Love Valley has been working diligently to find solutions to correct the problems set forth in the notice of violation. However, the challenges which face our town are directly a result of the lack of financial resources, not for lack of effort.
We're doing everything we can do as a council and as a town to work together to get through our problems.
For the next 9 months, they met with as many state and county officials as they could, including State Representative Rena Turner and officials from the Iredell County Board of Commissioners, in a concerted effort to secure funding for the new sewer system.
As long as we keep doing that and keep praying about it, I don't see how we can lose and go wrong.
In the summer of 2016, a much-needed break. Then, State Senator Andrew Brock helped the town secure a $400,000 infrastructure grant from the United States Department of Agriculture. A huge step in the right direction, but still $600,000 short of what they needed.
If we don't get it fixed, then a lot of people's lives will be greatly affected. Money is the #1 issue for us. Our operating budget is less than most people make in a year. And it's hard to make a living here sometimes.
So in early 2017, Tory and Mayor Kennedy brought in leaders from the Southeastern Rural Community Assistance Project to see if they could help find a less expensive solution.
The temporary solution is to install a temporary pump and haul. With that, the waste from Main Street would go into a tank. It would be pumped out and taken to a off-site location to another wastewater treatment plant. Once that is installed, we will be working with the town to come to a long-term solution of sewering the whole town.
But according to the state, that was not a viable option. And in the fall of 2017, the Department of Environmental Quality officially filed a lawsuit against Love Valley, requiring the town of Love Valley to immediately and permanently cease the illegal discharge of untreated wastewater, including raw sewage, to waters of the state.
We don't want to harm the environment, but we also don't want to be homeless.
Despite a repeated request, state regulators would not comment on the case. However, they issued this statement in their lawsuit against Love Valley. It is this office's position that there is an urgent need to abate continuing water quality impacts and ongoing human health risks with regard to the town of Love Valley's leaking sewer system. On January 8, 2018, Tory and Mayor Kennedy went to court to fight for more time.
Hopefully we can just get a little bit more time, and really that's all we're wanting and asking for right now. And we're gonna keep working like we have no time left. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of reprieve before it affects too many people.
Without it, Andy Barker's childhood dream and once vibrant Wild West Haven seemed destined to become a ghost town. On January 16th, time ran out on Love Valley.
I got the email from our town attorney, and I just immediately, my heart dropped and I cried.
In a ruling behind closed doors, Iredell County Superior Court Judge Joseph Crosswhite denied the town's request for a continuance and ordered water and sewer service to Love Valley cease effective immediately, as stipulated in the original notice of violation, cutting off the leak and essentially shutting the town down.
We have cut the water off and left my home. I am now living with my aunt just down the road. It's been tough, I tell you.
With no water or sewer service, Porta-Johns have replaced Palominos on Main Street for visitors. Residents who relied on city water and sewer have begun to move out, while the few full-time residents who have their own private wells make do and hope for the best.
I just don't want to see it go downhill. I want to see it back to the way it was when I first came here.
So as the sun sets on Love Valley, the devoted granddaughter of town founder Annie Barker, the boy who dared to dream all those years ago, vows to fight until the bitter end. Because for Tory Barker, it's not just about keeping a town alive, it's keeping her grandfather's dream alive that drives her.
I cannot give up. I will not give up. But I feel like the future of our town sits on my shoulders. It's a responsibility that I want, because I want people to experience what I love and care about. I refuse to give up.
Love Valley, town where all can